I'm here with Rebel Brown. She is a strategy, positioning, and turnaround expert with over 20 years consulting multi-billion-dollar companies all the way down to the small business. And you know what? We're talking about defying gravity. Well, defy gravity.
Well, you know, who wouldn't want to defy gravity, Alicia? I mean, let's face it, we all have problems with gravity, whether it's in our personal selves or in our businesses. And in my 20 years in consulting, what I learned was that every company I worked with had the same problem, and that was gravity. And the gravity came from the status quo beliefs about their value, their business, their markets, even ourselves. So I wrote Defy Gravity to give people a system and a way to think differently about their businesses. Companies are like flights. We all like flying a plane, and we all talk about changing it out at 40,000 feet, but the problem is, you know, we really don't think about our flight plans. So in flight, we have thrust and drag, and thrust is how we get forward and drag holds us back, and then we have lift and weight, which is how do we get up and how do we keep from sinking. In our businesses, our thrust is our value, and our drag comes when we get stuck in the value that's really not applicable anymore. Our lift comes from our markets and the opportunities, and weight comes when you're in the wrong markets and the wrong opportunities. What's our value and our market today, our thrust and our lift today, will become our gravity over time. Our markets are changing so fast, we can't stay hung in that anymore. Right? So that's why I wrote Defy Gravity.
So who should read Defy Gravity?
Well, you know, Defy Gravity really is for anybody, because whether we're a single owner, home operated business, a small business, or a large corporation, we all have status quo beliefs that we get stuck in. Right? We tend to follow the leaders, right? The guys who have gone before us or who are bigger than us. And the problem is they're all stuck into gravity too. So I had my own personal example. When I started writing this book, I had a New York agent and I had a New York publishing house, a couple of them that were interested. They looked at this book and said, we don't want this book, we want a B2B complex sale book. And I said, I don't want to write that. This is what the market needs. I also wanted to do a lot of things with iPad, Kindle, those kinds of things. Well, when I drew the line about what I wanted to do, they fired me, and I was devastated. Greenleaf took one look at what I was doing and said, we want to go with you. I'm now with Greenleaf. I defied the status quo, right? But what I learned is I was stuck in the status quo just like those publishing houses are. Let's take a look at an industry. Let's look at banks. And I'm not going to talk about government and regulation. Let's look at banks and the internet. When internet shopping started, the banks refused to lower their transaction fees. So they kept those rates. Well, PayPal came along and said, well, gee, if we do it for 10% of those fees, we can make it up on volume. Last year, PayPal transacted $25 billion in transfers. And that's money and profit that was lost by those banks because they were stuck in their status quo and they weren't willing to change as the internet and the whole market shifted.
Wow, that's really incredible. I don't know a site out there that doesn't have PayPal on it.
Right.
Well, let's get another example of a company.
Okay, you know, my personal favorite is a company called Nu Skin. They are a cosmetology, you know, personal products, skincare. And they've been in business for 25 years. But about 6 years ago, they started development on a product called the Galvanic Spa System and their age-lock system. For a $300 investment up front, $100 a month, you can have the results of a facelift in your own home. Last year, they did $1.25 billion, defying gravity again, and I might say I'm an example of their work. They did $1.25 billion in the market. They raised their earning per share by 52%. They raised their operating margin by 400 basis points, and their overall profit grew 8% in an economy that was really bad for everybody else. That's a zero gravity company. My consulting business is all about helping you identify your sources of gravity, find your true value, find your true market opportunity, take off for high velocity growth, and that's what I'm here to help you do.
Well, I definitely want to defy gravity, and I just appreciate you being here with us today,
Thank you
Rebel Brown.
so much. It's
and this
so
is
nice.
her book, Defy Gravity.